Before we hit record, I do have another meeting at 11. I hate that, so I'm planning like 30 minutes or so. Is that okay with you guys?
Too easy, but
Yeah,
the good thing
yeah,
is I
I
already
got one
hit
too.
record when you said that.
Oh, perfect. All right. That's what editing is for.
It's on record that this meeting will be 30 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Micahel Head. I am here with George Ohan and David Foxx. I'm a filmmaker, and I got connected with these guys because they are putting on the Financial Literacy Film Festival. So thank you guys for your time in jumping on and talking with us a little bit about it so we can learn more about it. And George, I guess I'll start with you. Financial literacy is something I think a lot of people don't really understand. I think they think of financial literacy as, how do I balance my checkbook? And I'm sure that's part of it. But what's the difference between real financial literacy and just paying your bills?
Well, to
That's a great
me,
question.
as a filmmaker, as a person who's in the entertainment business, a producer, I always see this hashtag starving artist.
Mhm.
And I hate it. I'm like, dude, all these great people who mean very well, who are working really hard, who are putting all their heart and soul and passion and creativity, real people who are like dreaming while they're awake, big vision type people, and they never get to the money. And it's like all these dreams die in a hard drive or on a notebook or whatever. And I'm like, wow. And it's
Right.
because they never connect those things with the money first. So financial literacy, besides just the entertainment business part of it, has to do with every aspect of your life. If you don't know how grocery stores price their items,
Mhm.
and on which days there's an actual day to buy the best items for the most fresh items for the least amount of money, there's a day for that.
Right.
If you don't know how a credit card company calculates their APRs when they're selling you a car, when the car dealership's doing that, if you don't know what a bank is doing with your money in the savings account, if you don't know how your 401k performs, if you don't know every year what's happened to your life insurance policy, if you have a permanent one, just a short time one, you have one that expires. There's things to know about finances in every different little aspect of your life. And how could we know all that? I mean, it's a lot of information. So there's people like Mr. Foxx who they love this stuff. Thank God, God bless their hearts. So we could be using our time making movies and digital content and coming up with our crazy stories and having our little script lords back there and our stuff going on. Because when we have a question like this, we have a girl or a guy where we're like, hey, I have a question about this thing. I'm about to work on this next project. They have a $20,000 budget. How should we structure this? That's a good question to ask a person who's involved in like the finance business all the time. So that's what it comes down to. It's just having a conversation. And really, at the end of the day, the one thing, if we do anything else with this financial literacy film festival, we want to break the stigma of talking about money. You shouldn't feel weird to talk about money. You shouldn't be like, oh, I'm broke. I mean, there's people, they go to the gym, they trust people with weights on their shoulder, on their chest. Like if they drop that, the guy's dead. And they're like, yeah, they barely know this guy and they're letting them do that, but they won't talk to another person about their money. And like most Americans who we know, they're about 4 flat tires away from being completely out of it, broke, done, and that's about $500. Most people don't have that on our emergency fund in a reserve to be like, oh my goodness, there were some nails in the road and now I'm like stressing for rent because I wasn't even ready for that. So financial literacy comes down to, do you have an emergency fund? Are you diversified enough to where if something happens over here in your retirement thing, are you okay over here? Those are the concepts that we want to talk about, but we know it's boring. We know people don't want to talk about it. We actually understand that. And so that's why we're like, why don't we use this edutainment angle and call it financial edutainment, where it's education and entertainment. And it's not like, hey, you didn't have a long-term care policy. No, we make a cool little 10-minute, 20-minute short film. And in that movie, something happens to a character in a narrative film. And you're like, wow, yeah, that was messed up. Maybe if she had whatever, or this happened, it's just thought provoking. It's bite-sized content to get you to think about these different things that could happen in your real life. And oh, by the way, I don't get paid for this. I'm not on payroll. There's not a company giving me money to put together this financial literacy film festival. This is out of my pocket, and just with the sponsorships of generous people who want to say, you know, that's pretty cool, George. I'm down with that. I like that mission. Here's a couple $100. Like, what else could we do? I mean, there's a lot of editing. There's a lot of marketing. There's a lot of just getting this thing going. And why is it so important? There's underserved communities. People don't have this information. There's really, really smart people who are doctors, who are lawyers, who don't even have this information because they're using all of their time in their life being a doctor or a lawyer. So even they don't have this information.
And I know a lot of people, when they start hearing these different terms like life insurance, 401k, all these things, their eyes just kind of glaze over, and they just think, well, somebody else that's smarter than me needs to be handling this for me. And I think that can lead to a lot of issues for people if they don't understand, like you were saying, where things are going, what they're doing. I know the kind of funny story is always somebody's like, yeah, I had all this money in my investment plan, and then suddenly my investor ran off with it. So
not
how do you
story.
Yeah, not a funny story, but
not a funny story.
How do you balance out what you were saying, the edutainment part of it, with real practical information that the audience can walk away with and say, hey, I need to get in touch with people like this, or I need to be able to find resources to learn about that? How do you balance out that?
All I could do is bring this community of people together and say, hey, by the way, in this community, that guy, David Foxx, he believes in this type of information enough that he's sponsoring it out of his pocket and paying money so we can bring you these films for free. Like the Financial Literacy Film Festival thing is $15 for the pass. But if you put in code FINLIT, it's free. You get a free pass with the code FINLIT. Mr. Foxx is paying for that. Mr. Foxx pays for all those passes. And
it's important too. I mean, George, I'm sorry if you'll let me, Michael, that was a great question that you had even at the beginning. And thank you for actually taking the time with us today. Time is valuable, and your expertise and your creativity is not something that I have been blessed with. So I'm very fortunate to be in your company, as well as with Mr. Ohan. But, I already see the need, and I see it daily. It's something that I'm in the industry, and I see it on a personal basis. Our schooling system is kind of missing the boat. They are not really equipping us to even teach, high school seniors how a credit card works, or how to start your credit working on a positive note instead of a negative. Maybe getting grants or college money. They've got all of this money that's now just being sent to them in a check, and they're going and buying the latest TV or gaming system, not realizing that there are ramifications of the decisions that they make on a daily basis. Right. So this is so important. But imagine me trying to either call someone or door knock and say, hey, I'd like to inform you a little bit on some financial avenues that will help you in your future. That's probably not going to work. That's old school, like how it used to work. And now when you have someone knock on your door, everyone's be quiet, let's run to the corner. He's selling solar or steak knives or something. Right. So this absolutely, so this just absolutely makes sense. Now you've got entertainment with creative mindsets like you guys, and writers and directors and producers, like the massive amount of talent that are behind these videos. If people even had an inkling to know how much it actually takes to do these things, like I've been able to see behind the scenes more working with George. But, that message is so important, even with the people who are on set. Having these ideas of like, hey, they don't work for an employers. Many of them are like they're working for themselves. Like they're putting their information out there, their talent, which is incredible. So once they end up getting paid for a film, like they're waiting until their next spot and hoping it'll stretch out. But there are things that they can do to make sure that they set themselves even a payment or a paycheck until that moment happens.
I've talked with a lot of people that are beginning in the industry, and they talk about, and I will freely admit, I'm still learning the business side of things, the business side of show business. It's not show art.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what I talk with about beginning people is, I mentioned selling yourself, and they're like, oh yeah, that's being on set, that's being positive. It's like, no. It's you're on job one. Where does job two come from? And it's that between businesses is, how do I actually know where my next opportunity is coming in? What what steps do I need to take to be there? Who do I contact? And a lot of that is networking, which is things like this, which if there's anything, this is going to sound so weird, if there's anything that's kind of positive that's come out the last year and a half, is we have these kind of connections now. We can actually say somebody's in Los Angeles, somebody's in New York, we can all talk at the same time, and we're kind of expecting that at this point.
Yep,
so
exactly.
How does that kind of collaboration play into the Financial Literacy Film Festival in terms of, you have people from all over the place, so how are you actually connecting those people that are in different places and bringing them all together under this kind of umbrella?
Michael, the reason I loved this concept as we started to discuss it, and this isn't just me by myself, there's like 30 or 40 people like creating this thing, putting it together, exchanging ideas. The reason I loved it is, as an independent filmmaker, as a talent, you just said it, we go from gig to gig to gig. And that's why it doesn't work. That's why this thing doesn't work like that, okay? With independent people, we need passive income. We're going to need something that gives you money constantly when you're between gigs. And that's where it made sense with the finance people. And then going back to what you were saying, if somebody's here watching this edutainment, we're not giving you a nationwide commercial, which that's one of the companies that Mr. Foxx offers for his products. But we're just saying, hey, Mr. Foxx is here. His thing's BFI Financial. He's a sponsor of this thing that you happen to be enjoying. Reach out to him, have a conversation. He's here, you're here. Let's talk. We're trying to make it way more informal. We're trying to take away this awkwardness of like the money guy. And it's free. It's a complimentary consultation. It's a free little 1 hour Zoom or 15-minute Zoom or however long you want to do it. But questions, the seeking the knowledge is free. He's on like an educational platform where he's informing you about what are your options. First of all, if you wanted to send Mr. Foxx money, say, hey, here's money for whatever, let's do business, you can't. He can't take your money. He's not even set up that way. As a financial professional, as a financial services professional, he's not even set up. You can't send him money. You couldn't Venmo him. You couldn't send him a check. You can't buy something from him. If you go to his website, he doesn't sell anything. He offers the education. He offers the consultation. At the end of it, when you see the Swiss Army knife of services that truly are available to you, you're like, wow, I think I like B and G over there. I like A and C. You're going to people know they need something. People know they want something. But what's available? Who do I trust? Is there credibility here? Do I have rapport with this person? This is what the whole film festival is about. It's like you might meet somebody on a Facebook post and never even register for the film festival and get to the film festival. So what? I did my job. I created a conversation that was trustworthy enough that you guys had your conversation and you became more financially literate. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, Michael, yesterday we had a call with a group of individuals from Puerto Rico. And, just because the world is getting a lot smaller and being in contact with Puerto Rico and Antarctica, like, I don't think I've ever spoken to someone in Antarctica, but just because of the film festival, that's amazing. Now they became sponsors, just because they understand the need and they see it, a lot more clear. But
I have to ask, are they like penguin trainers or something? No,
right, exactly.
From an army base, how crazy! Like my own wolf pack of people, and it's a civilian working out there as a nurse. And he self-taught himself how to computer generate the entire base. And it's so good. The United States federal government has reached out to him. Like, can we use your rendering, your CG rendering of this thing in our trainings?
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's great. That's great.
But
to have all of them combined together, like you said, making a world smaller, it doesn't really matter where you live, where you're at, you can be a part of something that's greater than you are. And everyone seems to have a collective mind and understanding that they all wish they knew something financially earlier than they did. So even if they don't know the information today, getting to a greater point or a position to where they can learn it earlier to put themselves in a greater point to where they can start having options instead of being forced into a company or working at a job or working, when they don't choose to or want to. Now they have options because they have available collateral that they've been growing and compounding in secure accounts for the rest of their life.
That's a good point with the fact that there's Puerto Rico, there's West Africa, there's Antarctica, there's this like we're connecting the world with this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what you were talking about earlier of, well, what can the people do between the gigs? They can try to earn something with passive income, and they can use a technology platform that gives them access to broker a lot of different services. And that's the kind of stuff that Mr. Foxx can set up a private Zoom about the finance side and say, hey guys, have you kept your options open? Do you keep your business options open to earning some passive income? Let me show you a few people. This is how they're doing it right now. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody's mind can wrap around a business concept, but a few people are going to love it. The producer types are going to be all over it because they're going to get it. They're going to say, oh yeah, that's how the money keeps coming in to fund my other projects. Now I get it. See, when I first got into producing in Hollywood, I thought, oh, somebody, hey, George, you're a cool producer. Here's money. Go play. It did not happen like that ever. So then I figured it out. I'm like, wow, okay. Even a lot of the people who I went to film school with, they're back at Best Buy, they're back at Guitar Center, they're back working wherever, but they're not producing anymore. And because they never figured out the passive income side of things. And hopefully this can start conversations for people who are not in the film industry. They just want some financial, questions answered, and they could talk to a person. Or there's a filmmaker who just wants more connections in the film world. The person who's getting involved in this entire movement, in this entire event, the Financial Literacy Film Festival, you have to decide, what am I offering and what am I asking for? I hope you find a lane for yourself. We've brought together a pretty big thing here. And if you look at all the logos and the different organizations and the companies involved, we've got a pretty top quality bill here.
Kind of along those lines, I know for some people, they're living so paycheck to paycheck that it doesn't seem like some of these things are options. Now I'm talking just to the general public. It does apply to like gig people that they don't go for a gig for 2 months and they don't have air conditioning for 2 months because they can't afford to pay for it.
Right.
So how do you balance out that part of making that passive income where you do have to have at least a little bit to start laying that foundation for stability in the future?
Michael, I didn't want this to, and I'm not going to, make it a pitch for what I do. However, there are opportunities that you can look all over the place. Like even with our company, there's, our COVID opportunities program right now, to where you actually get sponsored to go through and, do the requirements that you're set to actually get started in our industry. So there are things that you can find all over the place. You just have to be looking, and sometimes people just don't know where to start. But going to the website, even, befinanciallyinformed.com, to show a little bit more about what the industry is so that they can understand that, it's all relationship now. Helping individuals is no longer just like making a cold call to someone that you don't know, or like we're actively seeking those who are already looking for us. Just doing events like this allow us to get the chance to connect with those who are already thinking. It's like, yes, I need to care for my parents. Like my parents are getting older. Like my mother just recently passed away. And the greatest thing that my father ever did, thank you. The greatest thing my father ever did for her was actually get a long-term care policy for her. It paid out over $500,000 to keep her in her home, to provide around-the-clock care. She never was afraid or didn't know anyone that was around her. She was just comfortable the entire time, just because he put something small away into an account that just had compounding interest-bearing earnings for an entirety. But you mentioned it earlier. It's like even someone who's living paycheck to paycheck, they're 100% of what they're making is now going to a debt collector. If you think about it, getting to the point to where they can save 2%. Like what if they start off with just 2% of what they make to start saving for them? Because everything they're making is working for someone else.
So Foxx,
it's now time for our mindset to change. Our mindsets have to change.
A lot of us creatives, we don't know that we can own our own plan. So that was another thing, Michael, that while living in Hollywood 7 years and being a filmmaker and doing stuff, it's like, I thought, man, I got to get a career. I got to get a job. I got to go work for a studio. I have to work for somebody so I can get my little 401k or my retirement started. I don't know why. I just actually don't. I'm kind of embarrassed, actually. Like, why didn't I just think I can go talk to one of these money person, a finance person, and set up a plan, set up something for myself on my own in my own name, George Ohan, and just like contribute to it. I really did not think that's an option. Don't
Most
ask me
people don't
why.
even know that's an option.
Dude, and that's the part about our creative community. I'm like, dude, you could be starving artist, but still, like Mr. Foxx saying, just putting away 2%, 2%, 2%, and all of a sudden in 20 years, you're like, dude, I did better with than people with jobs. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Kind of, this is not the first year of the Financial Literacy Film Festival, right? So, can you tell us a little bit about the history of it and what it's done before, how many films you've had, and how many people you've reached?
We created, last year was unique because we created 8 films on our own. The executive producers, the filmmakers, I mean, Michelle Murray drove out from Texas to California to come direct a film.
Yeah,
Brought
she's
her
pretty
actors,
amazing.
brought crew. I mean, it was amazing. We created all the films. We had a program called Teach, Coach, Mentor. We taught people about filmmaking, and it was just from the ground up. We edited the films. We distributed the films. We had online streaming of it. It's like, we're not trained in all of this stuff, but we made it happen. This year, we partnered up with Qudio, much more stable, amazing platform that's doing like, really big things. And we've progressed to curating films. We got some really, really top talent. Jerrika Hinton is the lead of our first film. And she's on the critically acclaimed Hunters on Amazon Prime. And she's also on Grey's Anatomy. So we're now associated with that. We're growing quickly. With this festival here, we're probably going to, and I'm saying probably because I haven't secured my Australia project yet officially until I see it, until I see the contract, until I see the agreement in my email. I can't talk about it, but we're probably going to connect all 7 continents with just this one little baby event. And that's the progression of it. It's gone really, really fast. And we're doing this with micro influencers such as yourself, with just regular people who care about important information, who care about entertainment, but they kind of want to stay away from the junk. They've seen enough kiddie videos. They've seen enough just meme videos. It's like, dude, there's a lot of serious things going on Earth. And 20 years from now, I want to be living a higher quality of life. So we've progressed a long way, but it's always very inclusive. We don't talk about diversity, but hey, last year out of the 8 films, 5 of them were women filmmakers, and we were not a women's film festival. So that's saying a lot. And then as far as the other, as far as those 8 filmmakers, 4 of them, I think were Latina. So that's another thing. We're not trying to be checking the blocks, but hey, we're already just there because of who we know, our natural associations. One of our films that's going to be screening in the upcoming weeks is from Taiwan. And, God bless the people in Taiwan. There was some tragedy out there yesterday. And there's been a lot of recent crime waves against Asian Americans and Asians across the globe. We want to condemn that stuff. But once again, we've been working with the Asian World Film Festival for over 5 years. We've chosen this film. We've included it from Taiwan. And it wasn't to be like, hey, look, we care about the community. No, we love the movie. It's called Homeless. It has a financial literacy message. We're like, oh my God, these people all the way over there are making the content that we want. We sought them out. We went and got that movie. So that's the amazing part of it, is just naturally, because of we're staying in our lane. We're not trying to do too much over here. We're financial literacy and edutainment. We're finding like-minded individuals, or finding a bunch of people. Our reach hasn't reached where we know the potential could be. But if I get 100 people on Qudio tonight, April 2, at 6:30 p.m. PST, that's a complete W. That's a huge win, because we have a digital cinema experience that we've created. We've gotten a bunch of families to slow down, hang out at 6:30 p.m. at one place and one time in their living room, wherever, and say, hey, oh yeah, on that night at that time, we did do the Financial Literacy Film Festival 2021. We were there. Oh yeah. And it seems weird, but wow, we're creating that together, this little tribe, this little wolf pack, including you, Michael. That's what we're doing.
If there's people that can't attend at that time, is there an option to watch it at a later time or date? Like, is it going to be saved and for future viewing?
No, sir. No, sir. This is not a video on demand event. This is you made it and you're a part of it and that's cool, or you got to share it and that's cool, or we'll see you next week, or we'll see you the next week. And until we get to the point to where the content is something that we're going to be having out there, we have partnered with Spondulix, and we have partnered with the Florida Prosperity Partnership, and they have 24-hour running content of financial edutainment. So you're welcome to watch stuff over there. But we really are trying to create a digital cinema experience where people say, hey, I am going to carve out that 1 hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to commit to that 1 hour. I want to join these people. I want to do that thing with them. I'm going somewhere with them.
And there's a little bit of FOMO there too. So you can say, hey, were you able to watch this? Oh, I can't. And that creates another opportunity for sharing that information between people, that you can say, you can tell somebody, I saw this, you can't watch it again, but the next one's coming up.
I just believe that, and you're making a great point about the FOMO, but that's not what we're going for. I want to make I want to make that bond more special. I want to make that human connection more unique, more authentic by saying we were there. We were there. We did that thing. And right now during time of COVID, because we can't do that, I'm making these relationships for when we are free and clear and everyone's open again. We have real life bonds and relationships as if we were in Hollywood networking. You could not build this type of relationship if you were in Hollywood networking, unless you spent 5 years and went to a bunch of places and broke off away from that networking thing and went to somebody's living room and really met them. We're doing that in a 1 hour span. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thinking about the future, obviously this is something that we all hope continues and is going to continue to grow and continue to reach people. For individuals, obviously we were kind of talking about this earlier when we talked about high schools aren't really doing a good job of preparing students for real world financial literacy. Have you thought about doing something that kind of reaches down into the high school level? Because obviously the earlier you start this planning and this investment in yourself, the more it's going to grow over time. So have you thought about doing something aimed more at younger people, high schoolers, even middle schoolers, thinking about financial literacy?
The program, the Teach, Coach, Mentor program, that's what it's about. We've actually had high school students film these movies.
Oh, wow.
From the local high schools. And our big vision is to have a Teach, Coach, Mentor financial literacy film festival in their own high school. A high school can come up with their own 8 movies. Every one of the high schools in the United States, any university, any church, and we'll teach you, we'll show you the platform, we'll show you how to do it. We want this to be something that people are doing in their local communities everywhere. Mr. Foxx actually has already been reaching out to Fresno State University and starting some of these conversations locally.
Yep, absolutely. With so many individuals who are creative and have a mindset of already wanting to shoot, information and try their talents. What a better way to actually introduce this as talent coming from their own school, even if it's at a high school level. Think about engagement that you already have from either a leadership group or what have you, and then we coming in and kind of backing it up by a small, course of, hey, this is how you can manage your money. Start getting into a savings mindset right away. It's like, because you are worth it. You really are worth it. Putting 10% away, whatever you make. Like if you're making $100, $10 goes into this. That's it. Leave it there. You're paying your future self. No one else is going to be saving for your retirement. So you solely get to decide on what that looks like.
I really wish I had known that when I was in high school.
Right. Like having that information is so powerful, and especially for kids, bringing it down to them. I've got 2 boys, that are currently in high school. And their mindsets, like I structure my education into schools exactly based on what they even talk about. So I'm hoping that it will hit a couple of them. I'm hoping they'll go back to their homes and have conversations with their parents saying, hey, I was thinking about, this, like he was talking about an envelope system to where you separate, this is entertainment, this is regular costs, this is food, this is, my cell phone or whatever. And then this is for me. This is my envelope. This is my future. This is not to be touched. It will be qualified. It will grow and secure compound interest accounts that will, over time, allow it to just blossom into my future. So like we're worth that. We're so conditioned today just to pay everything that we can, to get the latest brand new shoe, to get the latest brand new phone, like $1,000 for a phone, but you can't save a little bit for your future.
Yeah.
We need to think a little bit better, but that's such a great question. Yes, we are reaching out to high schools as well as colleges, already having conversations as well as starting programs with them, because this vision is so much bigger than we are. We'd be silly not to include others with our journey.
I know we're about to have to wrap up. So can you just give the website that we need to go to and the time that everybody can go and enjoy and learn from this Financial Literacy Film Festival?
It's just Qudio, Qudio, and then click on events. You'll see Financial Literacy Film Festival. It's going on tonight, April 2nd, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And you can just click FINLIT, FINLIT, all caps. And all the stuff will be there with the video for a free promo code. Also, when you're signing up, there's a little tagline there that says, hey, put in this code for your free pass. So if you want to save $15 and get a free pass, FINLIT, and it's on Qudio, Qudio.com.
Awesome.
And also to follow up with the financial part of it, definitely get free information. If you have a question on anything, our services are completely free, and that's not a joke. Okay, there's no something that's stuck to it. So it's just simply befinanciallyinformed.com. It's got a lot of questions in there, a lot of places where you can leave contact information, and we'll just have a conversation and point you in the right direction.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. And I look forward to speaking with you guys more in the future.
You're welcome.
Michael, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
This was great, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank
Bye.
you.